Welcome back, everyone, to session 2 of our workshop. A quick reminder before we begin: subscribe to Pharm'Up on YouTube, post your name and affiliation in the live comment section. The feedback link for e-certificate will be shared in the chat. Don't forget to share the stream to reach more interested learners. And if you have any questions regarding this keynote session, please feel free to drop your queries in the chat box. Relevant questions will be selected and addressed by the speaker at the end of the session. Now, I would like to again call convener of this workshop, Dr. Pujari sir, for his opening address. Sir, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Astha. And hate the way you compare this event. And as we all discussed in the first session, the inaugural session, followed by the first keynote session of Dr. Sanjeev from CDRI. And there were some technical issues at the end, and the question answer session was unfortunately missed. So I requested Dr. Sanjeev to please join in the second session also for any queries related to this topic or overall discussion from the participants. So he will be joining shortly at the end of this session. And we will definitely take some questions or queries from the participants or healthy 5 to 2 minutes discussion. And definitely it is going to be a wonderful webinar, wonderful workshop, as we have started from the scratch to market. पूरा एक journey कैसे drug की है हमें सब डिटेल में बताई थी. Now we are going to discuss this as what are the requirements required in the regulatory point of view. प्रोडक्ट बन गया, उसके बाद मार्केट में आने से पहले उसको कौन कौन से चैलेंजेस फेस करने पड़ते हैं, या फिर प्रोडक्ट के R&D में कौन कौन सी प्रॉब्लम्स आती है, ये सब प्रैक्टिकली जो एक इंडस्ट्री पर्सन है वही अच्छे से बता सकता है. तो वी हैव मिस्टर सैयद मेहंदी रजा विद अस. हम सब ने शेफलेटॉल कंपनी का नाम सुना होगा, बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट के आते हैं. तो आई रिक्वेस्ट मिस आस्था to please introduce Mr. Syed Mehdi Raza sir in brief. Before that, I request Raza sir, please set up your cam as your image is video. मुझे लग रहा है शायद वो जो बैकग्राउंड है, वो बैकग्राउंड की वजह से कुछ इशू आ रहा है, वो ब्लर इमेज आ रही है आपकी. Okay, participants has already instructed that you can drop your affiliations and name for a record of attendance so that the participation certificate can be released timely. चैट बॉक्स में आप इसको ड्रॉप करते रहेंगे तो इसकी अटेंडेंस आपकी रिकॉर्ड होती रहेगी. एट द एंड ऑफ दिस सेशन we will drop the feedback form in the comment box and you can fill the feedback and get your certificate soon after filling it.
Okay, let's now welcome our second
Yes,
speaker, Mr. Syed.
over to
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's now welcome our second speaker, Mr. Syed Mehdi Raza, sir, Associate Regulatory and Safety Affairs, Research and Development, Reckitt Private Limited. Sir has started his Reckitt journey in 2011 and in 2017 he joined as senior officer. Mr. Raza sir brings rich industry experience in regulatory compliance and drug safety. We are delighted to have him with us today. Sir.
Thank you. Let's start my presentation and please let me know once you can see this. Am I audible to all?
Yes, you are.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you. Great. So hello everybody, and I'll be talking about. I have attended the first session by Dr. Yadav, Sanjeev Yadav, and it was very deep insight about how research work is conducted in the drug development. Now I'll be taking you in the industry procedures details of the industry procedures. It is not all about the research that we do, but also how we bring the idea into the market. So yeah, I think next slide, please. Okay, so my first two slides are a few introductory slides that Ms. Asta has already taken care of. Um, so just a quick about myself. I am Syed Mehdi Raza, and I have been working in Reckitt, which is a healthcare industry, healthcare and FMCG sector industry. And I have been dealing right from the starting of my career into the product development and project management and tech transfer. Currently, I have been working on the safety evaluation of the products prior to the market launch. Also, in this journey, I'll just take it very quickly. In this journey, it started as a contract employee, then coming up in the permanent role, and then gradually moving to the role where I am at the moment, leading a team of safety personnel who do the safety evaluation of the final product, and they conduct a safety evaluation of the product from the consumer point of view, whether if after using this product as intended, will the consumer be safe or will there be any risk for them. Once we issue a safety evaluation go ahead, then only the product is released to the market. So this is our current role. After years of experience in product development, this is what we are into right now. And a quick 2 minutes about my organization. It's a leading name in a healthcare and FMCG sector. It has a product across different categories: OTC, antiseptic, disinfectants, personal care and cosmetics, intimate wellness, medical devices, and home care and other products like. Okay, and these are a few brands that are very popular across the shelf. You can see them: Dettol, Durex, Airwick, Wheat, Strepsils, Gaviscon. Gaviscon is our very fastest growing cough syrup. Mucinex is our painkiller. Clearasil is our anti-acne treatment formula. Disprin, Move, Decold, H-Guard. Infamil is our formula for child nutrition. So these are the few products. So just a update, nothing informative about this. Now I'll be coming to the product development steps. Now when I call about, I know the topic is molecule to medicine, but in industry I will be switching from Hindi to English just for convenience. So industry mein product is not always medicine. It could be a device, it could be a document, anything. So that's why I use a wider term, product development. Now, how do you start the product development? To start it, the first, the initial step is as same as Dr. Yadav, Sanjeev Yadav has taken up, and I will just summarize it in a superficial way from the industry point of view without using many technical details, because technical details you have already gone through in Dr. Sanjeev's presentation, and I will not be able to add anything to it, I'm sure. So I'll leave it to him. The first starting step is very similar. You have to identify a problem and you have to work for a solution towards its solution. Now, problem doesn't mean a health problem. Sometimes a solution also serves as a problem. ऐसा नहीं है कि जब कोरोना आएगा तो ऐसी कोई प्रॉब्लम आएगी तो हम उसके लिए वैक्सीन सर्च करेंगे एंड देन वी स्टार्ट रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट. एंड इंडस्ट्री डज नॉट वर्क लाइक दैट. कोई एक सॉल्यूशन है बट यू फाइंड आउट अ लूप होल इन दैट सॉल्यूशन एंड से दैट हम इससे बेटर ऑप्शन प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, एंड देयरफॉर you create a problem out of solution and then give a better solution for that. Example, very clear, injectable insulin एक solution था for blood sugar regulation, but अब उसका injectable part को आपने problem create किया, and now oral insulin is in progress. It's very very important step towards the blood regulation, glucose regulation. Okay, so this is how we start. And what are the aspects that we keep in mind? First of all, is the safety of the product that we are coming up. Now, the safety initially it is determined by the team, like the team in which we are working. So the safety and vigilance team, once the product is into the market, the pharmacovigilance team keep a track on it. But that is a later stage. First of all, we have to ensure that product is safe, whatever we are proposing. Second option is we have to make sure that it is effective. So if it is not, it is not giving the desired result, it will not be considered as a better product. Then third is option is that we have to make it affordable. Now, if it is not affordable, no matter आपका product कितना अच्छा हो, medicine कितनी effective हो, but अगर वो consumer उसको या patient उसको afford ही नहीं कर सकता, तो वो किसी काम की नहीं है. The fourth one is the most important one, which is profitability. Ultimate aim of any organization is to get a better return on their investment. ठीक है, प्रोडक्ट बहुत अच्छा है, सेफ है, अफोर्डेबल है, पर अगर आपको उससे रेवेन्यू जनरेट नहीं हो रहा है, देन no industry will survive. So industry will not move into that project. And the last one is the sustainability, and this is something which not very frequently talk about, but a bigger organization and reputed organization, they are working on this area. Once the product is consumed, used, medicine is taken up, what do we do with the leftovers? Nowadays, many companies are coming up with a cough syrup which is not packed in a glass bottle but in a plastic bottle, just to make sure that there is no loss during the transportation, breaking, damage, etc. But once these empty bottles are released into the environment, it is severely hitting our environment. Therefore, a lot of focus is now coming up with it is on generating a sustainable product. Not only safe, but once it is used and consumed, what the leftover is not hard, not impacting our environment. So this is the few aspects of the product development that we actually take into account. Okay, this is a top level kind of superficial level of how do we start the process and what are the factors we keep into mind. Now I'll tell you, I'll take you through a pictorial or a graphical way. This is how this step happens in the industry. The first is the ideation phase. In this ideation phase, first you conceptualize the product. When you conceptualize what you are working on it, you have to list all of the its pros and cons and define the project in a product and define the your idea into a way that your management looks forward to it. Okay, this is a problem and there is a solution, we can work upon it. Okay, once you define it well, then you start your primary research. In this primary research, you collect every information about whatever is the situation today, what are your solution toward this situation, how you are looking to treat this handle this situation, and what is your outcome. Then you have to check the feasibility means प्रोडक्ट जो या मॉलिक्यूल या मेडिसिन जो आप तैयार करना चाह रहे हो या यू वांट टू ब्रिंग इट अप, इसकी एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी कितनी होगी, कंज्यूमर इतना कंज्यूमर है, इतने लोग इतने पेशेंट्स हैं और उनकी कैपेसिटी इतनी है कि इसके इतने कॉस्ट का प्रोडक्ट वो ले सकते हैं. अदरवाइज इट्स अ नो स्टार्टर. वो प्रोजेक्ट कभी स्टार्ट ही नहीं हुआ अगर आपने उसकी फिजिबिलिटी पे काम नहीं किया था. ओके, आई एम श्योर I'm not sure if I've been able to make sure that what feasibility means. Feasibility is actually a practical description of the product कि अभी मार्केट में क्या है, हम क्या ऑफर कर रहे हैं, कितने कितना इसका यूजेज है, कितना इसका कंज्यूमर कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन है, और उसके बाद हम क्या सेल करेंगे, वॉट एवर, फ्रॉम एवरी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. या इसको प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए हमें अपनी फैक्ट्रीज में क्या चेंजेस लाने होंगे, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस कैसे मैनेज करना पड़ेगा, ये सारी चीज़ें होती है, फिजिबिलिटी होती है. ओके, इसके बाद ये सारे प्रोसेस आप आइडिएशन फेज में करते हैं. ओके, वट एवर रिसर्च वर्क, वट एवर you know literature you have to read, you have to refer, everything comes in the ideation phase. This is mainly conducted by the R&D team, the R&D scientist which a company R&D team hires. This entire step is taken care by the R&D team. Then comes the development phase. Okay, now in this development phase, lot of focus was on the ideation phase. अभी तक लोगों को ये लगता है कि जो आइडिएशन फेज में जो कुछ है ना वही है, जबकि आइडिएशन फेज के बाद बहुत बड़े बड़े प्रोजेक्ट जो है वो डेड हो जाते हैं, बिकॉज डेवलपमेंट फेज पर काम नहीं हो पाता ठीक से. डेवलपमेंट फेज में आप क्या करेंगे, फर्स्ट यू हैव अ प्रोटोटाइप इन प्लेस. प्रोटोटाइप इज अ लुक अलाइक, ये जैसा आप देना चाह रहे हो एग्जैक्टली उसका एक रेप्लिका. ओके, once you have a prototype in place, then you start testing this product. Testing कैसे होगी? First of all, you will check about the stability of the product. Stability study जो होती है उसमें हम प्रोडक्ट को, जो आपका प्रोटोटाइप है उसको डिफरेंट सिनेरियो इन्वायरमेंट में स्टोर करते हैं फॉर डिफरेंट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, जिसमें हम उसमें टेम्परेचर से लेके humidity, external exposure, everything we put it under control, and we put it for some desired period of time. Stability study का जो result होता है, based on that we are able to decide the shelf life, expiry date, everything about the product. Okay, then the other testing is the efficacy study. Okay, this is done by with the help of clinical team in the preclinical stage. Okay, so efficacy study may we develop that the product is able to achieve what we are targeting, and once these two studies are conducted, we go ahead with the data generation. Now entire step, the most important step in entire development phase, the most important step is the data generation. You have to generate the right amount of data and the extensive data about each. So we have to have a stability data, efficacy study data, preclinical study data, everything. And because this data is something which is going to help you in your later stages and even after the product is in the market. This data is your tool to handle any unwanted situations. Okay. Then the step comes up is the launch phase. Launch phase start with the planning. When you have enough data from the efficacy study, from the stability study, then you start planning for the launch. Okay. Now, how do you plan? You go with the technology transfer. Now you understand what tech transfer is. Tech transfer actually is replicating the lab process into an industrial level. लैब में आपने अपना प्रोडक्ट तैयार किया which is made in a small scale. Let's say you prepare a cough syrup in a 2-liter batch size. Now the same thing has to be done in 2000-liter batch size. Okay, so whatever you did in your lab is not the right process for to be followed in the factory. There the manual steps are very, very minimal, while in the lab you do everything manually. So tech transfer is a step where it takes lot of time. I won't say कि इसमें बहुत से fail हो जाते हैं, but yes, इसमें भी project fail होते हैं, but it takes a huge amount of time because जब तक कि product replicate नहीं होगा at a bulk size, it is of no use. Okay. After technology transfer, you start testing. What type of testing? The testing that you have done before. Okay. That time you have done it with the prototype. Now you have to done with the industrial samples, the real samples that will go to the market. The same amount of testing will be conducted again. And it will also include, sorry, earlier it was preclinical, now it will have a clinical studies, and then clinical trials. Everything will be are included in the testing phase. After testing, you have a complete amount of data in place. Okay. With the data in place, you go for approvals. Once you apply for the approvals, while applying for approvals, you have to go for the registration, and all registration approval from the authorities and everything, and then you again plan for a proper launch. And this all process, if you can see the arrows, is interlinked. It is never ending. Okay. If you have a data after testing, the data is not suitable, not correct, not appropriate, you go back again to the testing stage. If data is fine, go for approvals, but authority questions some of your findings. You again go back to the data. You again, if you find the loopholes in data, you again go back to the testing. Similarly, the start. So this entire step is a circular step. It is both the ways. It is a reversible process. It is not moving only a front moving ahead only, but also moving back also. It depends on how well you have conducted your project. Okay. So this is how the launch happens. So now, if I summarize it in a few crucial points, then I will say that the first step is that you have to collect enough information. Enough information means uh, more. The more information, the better it is. Okay, and in this, you have to follow a thumb rule that there is no source is invalid. In when you as a student, when you refer to some journals, you say that okay, the impact factor is not that good, so that journal is not very reputed, or the source of this information is not, the testing, the details followed are not correct or not so established, so test method is not the right method. Okay, but when you are gathering information for industry project, no source is untouchable. You you have to consider every information that comes into your place, even if it is even if it is not listed or not published, even if it is a saying. Okay, it's even if it is a motor mouth, you have to you must get it confirmed, and then only move ahead. Okay, it's not that okay, I will only refer to the information published in PubMed and I will not touch the other information. No. Maybe the information is correct, but the author or the researcher may not have was not able to get it published in the right in the reputed journal. So whatever, that's why you have to consider every information with equal importance. Okay. Now, once you have the information, what you do, the processing of information is more important. Okay. Because let's say आप आप अपने कॉलेज में प्रोजेक्ट करते हो, रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट, you consider, you test you start a project of conducting a kind of activity in a particular molecule. You do a process, you conduct it, and then you find out that this particular molecule is not having that activity that you are looking for. Okay, your research is complete, you have done your work, but is this information saleable? Is this information of any good for the industry? So you cannot afford to say that okay, we have done the research work and we found that this is not possible. No, That is why when you collect the primary data and primary research, you have to be damn sure that, okay, the product is going to be effective and it will not fail into the efficacy area. Okay, only then other steps will be taken. So, you have a lot of information, but your outcome is not hitting the right notes. Then all these information is of no use. Okay. Then the next step is the consensus building. One thing you have to understand that industry is not operating in a one-man show process. In a college or in a research institute, you are surrounded by the people of the same field, same background, and therefore your discussion is very very deep with them when you talk to them about research material, about your information about your subject. But you should understand that in industry, R&D is one department, and there are n number of departments. Even a pharma industry have a software engineer, because industry has to operate on a system. There is a manufacturing, there is a finance, there is a marketing, there is quality, many other, and you cannot, R&D cannot go ahead alone and say that we have designed the product, now we are going to launch. You have to take factory into the count. You have to establish a cordial relation with all other functions, and everybody is not a pharma graduate. You have to understand. You might have to deal with an MBA person who has nothing to do with the pharma background. You have to deal with a chartered accountant who is looking into your finance. So everything, you know, everything has to be taken care, and that's why communication in the industry is more important than the deep depth of the knowledge. I'm not saying that knowledge is not required. That is required, but after a level of it is that communication with the cross-functional team, okay, that will help you. So a consensus building is a big requirement to get the project going. Then you have to be a good planner. You have to take account of everything. You cannot you cannot say that, okay, the form is from your background, you have a detailed knowledge about the molecule, you have detailed knowledge about the efficacy of the product. No, fine, that is good, but you cannot say that that's my area and I'm not, you have to at the same time be aware of the suppliers that are going to provide you the excipients and the actives. You have to be uh, mindful of the factory people who are going to work on your project, and they have to produce a product which is, you know, in a proper, what's the GLP compliance method. And then you must have a plan B in place, because if you are moving with a single plan, that is definitely very very risky, because for you your project is one project is very very important, but the person in the finance, he is looking for his own development, and for him some other project is very very important. So he will not give the due importance to your project, and he might he prefer another project in the priority. Manufacturing team might have some other targets to achieve, and everybody has their own goals to, year end goals uh, to achieve. So जब तक आपका प्लान बी नहीं होगा, तब तक आप प्लान बी तो एक एक है, बट आई वुड से बी सी डी एज मेनी एज बैकअप प्लान्स अगर आपके पास हैं, दैट विल बी हेल्पफुल. ओके, you cannot go with one plan and you cannot succeed with only one plan in place. Okay, then after a planning, you have to be mindful of executing all that plans, and when you are executing, be mindful that there will be surprise. आप पहले से सब कुछ प्लान करके कितनी भी अच्छी प्लानिंग कर लो, नहीं कर सकते. देयर विल बी सरप्राइजेस, और उस सरप्राइजेस को आपको एट द moment ही handle करना है. You cannot, you know, afford to go back, say I will do the entire research again. No. Whenever there is a project approved by industry, there is a timeline given. Say अगर कोरोना की वैक्सीन आप बना रहे हो, let's say, you have to hit the vaccine in the market before any other comes in. Because it is being on time which is more important. Of course, accuracy and precision is important, but उसके साथ साथ आपको टाइम पर बहुत टाइमिंग इज वेरी वेरी क्रूशियल इन दिस इंडस्ट्री. ओके, सो जब भी आप एग्जीक्यूट करने जाओगे आपके पास सरप्राइजेस होंगे, कुछ फेल होगा, कुछ हिट करेगा, एंड आपको उसको वहीं पे हैंडल करना है. तो मेंटली प्रिपेयर होना पड़ेगा कि this will not always work what you have thought about. Okay, and of course the last step is keep monitoring your project. Okay? Keep monitoring what you are doing, what you have done so far. Okay, because जो भी एग्जीक्यूशन में सरप्राइज आएगा या प्लानिंग में प्रॉब्लम्स आएगी, प्लान बी सी डी, वो आपकी मॉनिटरिंग से ही सॉर्ट आउट होगी. तो इफ यू आर नॉट monitoring it well, you will be in trouble. Okay. Next, now there are few factors which are important in developing the product. This is technical factors. You all know. Okay. Dr. Sanjeev has taken up well, so I will not go into that again. But the things that impact the product development in industry, that is majorly four of them. First, as you know, is the laws and regulation. The laws and regulation are very very diverse in the entire world. If you are working for a company which is a multinational company, they will launch a product into globally, not in one country or two countries, and therefore you have to comply with the local laws and regulation. So Europe has a different law, America has a different law, Asia has a different law. Within the Asia, the regulation in ASEAN countries is different, and Middle East is different. Okay, so the regulatory teams actually work upon it. There is a regulatory and the regulatory experts that sits within the R&D team, and they work. So while the process of developing the project and product is going on, they are working on creating the right informations, right documentations, and everything is compiled in a dossier for the product, and these dossier contain all the approvals, necessary authorizations, everything, and it is submitted to the authorities of respective countries for the approvals. Now, how does it impact? Let's say Britain is actually having more stricter rules for phase 1 clinical trials than your in rest of the Europe. Okay. US has more stricter phase 3 guide restrictions for clinical trials. Okay, so when you are working, you have to plan your trials, you have to plan your studies in such a way that you are able to meet the requirement. If it is a global launch, then you have to meet the requirement of all the authorities well in advance. Okay, then public opinion is something which is important. You are working on something, and before you could hit the market, there is a kind of there is a kind of opinion building that started taking place within the public, that this particular molecule is not that good. Now you have moved to it is not good for kids, or now let's say you have moved your project from ideation to development, and from development to launch, and you are in the launch phase, and suddenly research published in a reputed journal citing that one of the actives being used in the market in the medicine sector is not that safe. Now, by the time बाय द टाइम आपका प्रोडक्ट मार्केट में आ रहा है, पब्लिक के बीच में ओपिनियन बन चुकी है कि यार ये एक्टिव इज नॉट सेफ, देन इन दैट केस आपका पूरा प्रोजेक्ट फेल हो सकता है. ओके, सो एट दैट टाइम व्हाट विल यू डू? यू कैन नॉट चेंज योर एक्टिव इन लास्ट मिनट. सो पब्लिक ओपिनियन इज अ मेजर फैक्टर जो कि प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट पे इम्पैक्ट करता है. देन मार्केट फोर्सेज, यू ऑल नो, अगर पहले से बहुत मार्केट में अवेलेबल फोर्सेस हैं, बहुत हैं, तो आपके प्रोडक्ट को हिट होना, लॉन्च होना, सक्सेसफुल होना इज अ is a trouble. But okay, you have to deal with it. Market forces आपके आपके सक्सेस को शॉर्ट कर सकता है, थोड़ा सा डिले करता है, but it will not, it will not be a, it will not be a cause of failure from launching. Post launch, if you're not able to handle this, then that will be another thing, but you can launch it without you can go ahead with the launch. And then public policies, the public policies जो है वो भी आपके प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट को इम्पैक्ट करती है. सो इफ यू वांट टू लॉन्च अ प्रोडक्ट इन मिडिल ईस्ट एंड इफ यू वांट टू लॉन्च अ प्रोडक्ट इन अफ्रीका, the public policy is very very different. Okay, so these ये like Middle East, you are, how do I I'm not sure how to get you details of this public policies, but yeah. So Middle East may, if let's say for example, I'm not saying it happens the way, but Middle East, there is a public policy says that you have to follow the norms of pricing norms, while in African countries, because there are not so, they are not so well established. There is a policy of distributing the essential medicines to the public. Now you cannot handle for these two market regions, one product, similar product is is not a right option. Okay, so your product, while can be a successful in one market, but it will not be a successful in another market in this situation. Okay, right. Next, I would say just taking a detour from what I have been telling you. Okay, I am telling you now. I am going to discuss a few of the discoveries or development that taken place accidentally. Okay, something which was not planned the way it happens. Okay. First of all, if you see on the heading, you have a quote from one of the famous Nobel laureate, Alexander Fleming. He said that one sometimes find what one is not looking for. And he has said this about himself only, because he discovered penicillin the same way. Penicillin was discovered because he left. He used to be referred by his colleagues like a very casual and very irresponsible person, and he left for vacation, for 2 weeks vacation. And when he returned, he realized that his window of his laboratory was not properly closed, and then he saw kind of strain developing on his petri dishes. And then after further research, is find that he ended up discovering the penicillin. Sildenafil, which is a product which was used for which was being actually taken up by Pfizer. Pfizer was working on this product, and this product was in the clinical trial phase 2 or phase 3. I didn't remember exactly, but it was into the clinical trials when consumers started complaining that it was actually being done for treating the angina pain, but consumers started complaining that they are they are having a long erection, and therefore the company revisit the combination, and then their entire product was launched as a Viagra rather than an angina pain. So it's a accidental discovery. Then eprinazide is another one such product. Eprinazide was used for I think it's an antidepressant which was uh, initially it was given for tuberculosis treatment, but in the in the early 50s, patients in the clinical trials started complaining, or not complaining, but they was started telling that after taking this, they found that mood is elevated and their activity is increased. So then this was developed as a antidepressant, and they started now it is still continues to be an antidepressant tablet. X-rays is one such another discovery which was accidentally happening when the I'm just not getting the name. Sorry for that. Ron Jen. Yeah, the scientist's name was Ron Jen. He was experimenting on a cathode ray tube, and in his laboratory, he noticed that there is a glow coming up from a chemically coated screen. When he tried to you know s- stop that glow with his hand, then he realized that his all his muscles and all his bones were actually visible on the screen behind the light, and therefore it develops it goes on the discovery of X-rays. Warfarin is one another anti-hemorrhage product. I think it was developed from cowpox actually. So one of the mm, again forget the name of the scientist. Let it be. Um, yeah. So the scientist received he was a surgeon who was treating a cowpox, and the patient complained about not the patient, but the client complained that the animals are actually the cattle were actually um, having a blood flows which are not actually stopping. So they took the lesions and studied, and then found a typical able to actually isolate warfarin from the lesions, and then that lesion was used to treat the hemorrhage into the bodies. And their similar way is the pacemaker. Pacemaker is Great Batch, I think his name. Great Batch is the scientist who was working on uh, producing a device which can record uh, the the heartbeats, but he manhandled and he assembled it in a wrong way, and then he realized that instead of recording, it is actually generating the similar device. So then he again go back to his research and start working in another way, and then this was how the pacemaker was uh, developed and launched. So the idea behind this is that you have to be you have to keep your eyes open, and sometimes the roadblockers that comes in your way is actually give you actually gives you something something new. Okay. So industry project cannot go into entire plan very planned way. Yes, it has to go. The planning is done the way that everything has to be very perfect, but at the end you have to understand that it will not be. You have to be prepared for some unwanted uh, issues coming your way, and then you have to find out way out of that. So now I'll move ahead after this. Okay, after this I will take up a case study for you. This is a Dettol disinfectant liquid. I did this formulation development, and it was done sometime back before I think, some 5-6 years back, and this was a product developed by me. So I use this product as a case study. So the brief of this product was provided by the marketing team that they wanted to launch a product of this type of product because we already have an antiseptic in place. We wanted to launch a disinfectant. Now, with the brief that we received and I was asked to handle this project, the critical step that was was that we have to come up with a clear product design because there should not be any confusion of what is existing and what is, we already had similar type of products in the market, so it should not be confusing. We have to have a clarity of what how it should look, how it should work. Then the challenge was to find out the right active for this. uh, we have to uh, find active that is not similar to what is already existing with the different other brands, and also we have to make sure that is efficacy wise it is meeting the required uh, what we are intention what our intention was. It is meeting the same thing, and also it should be a likable product for consumer. You should meet the taste. Now, taste doesn't mean that you have to taste the product. It means that consumer likes this product. Okay. The biggest roadblocker I said it was the active because we have to find the right active for the performance. And in any product development, the active identification is important. It is not always like that uh, you prepare that I have got a medicine now. I have got an active now. You prepare a product. We get a brief that this is the product we have to produce or you have to launch. Now, find an active and find a right formulation for this. Then the other thing is the major thing in any industry project is the timeline. You cannot afford to any of your steps to go wrong. Okay, it is a very tight timing. And then the claims that we are targeting with this project is there are a few claims that were very. I don't want to give into the details, but there are a few new claims that were suggested that marketing team you know, wants to launch. So we have to make sure that the formula that we are using are good enough to give the desired claims. Okay, the claims will be completed by the clinical teams with the help of the studies, but not all the claims that are on the pack is actually supported by the clinical studies. There are few which are based on literature, which are based on ingredient profiles. So uh, the claims were one of the important issues in this, and then how we proceed in that. We decoded the brief, then we finalize a prototype. In the prototype finalization, we first shortlisted few of the actives that were in place, and then few new actives which were which we have find out in some literature sources, and then we started working on the prototype with the right excipients and right uh, additives, everything. Then in the development phase, when the prototype is finalized, we started working on its uh, you know so we work on 5 different prototypes, and then each prototype has a different active. Okay. Then after this 5, we finalize 3 of them based on the market situation and the practical situation, like the supply of the active materials and everything. So we zeroed on 3 of them, and then we initiate testing on all 3 prototypes. Then we conducted a CL because this was a market product. I mean a shelf OTC product. We conducted a CLT testing, which was a consumer likability testing, and where consumer were asked for their likability and their preferences based on the based on all the details, all the prototypes. They were asked to use the prototypes, and then in the well controlled manner, and then their likability is recorded, and then based on that we finalized one prototype no, which was passing the consumer testing as well as the claim substantiation, the result data, and everything. And then we have a to substantiate the claims that we are making from this product, we have to have a clinical data, we have to have a safety data that product is safe, and regulatory team started working on the same time on the creating the dossiers for the different market regions. So one of the market had, I think it was in Bangladesh, that one of the excipient cannot be used because that was listed as a narcotic in that country. So we have to revisit, and then you can't have a different formula for Bangladesh and for rest of other countries, a different formula. So we rework and again do the same process of substantiation, data generation, everything, and then we go to the industrial trial. But product failed first in the industrial trial. It failed. When it fails, we have to conduct the reinvestigation there in the factory only. When we do the reinvestigation, that find out that there are some issues with the processing. What we managed to do manually was, when it was conducted in an automated manner, it was not happening the right way. So we tweak the process, we record the manufacturing method, and then we repeated the trial, and then it was a successful launch. It is still in the market. Okay, so this is how was one example of how the product is being launched in the market. Okay, this is all I think I have. And if you guys have any questions, please come on. Yes, please. Any questions? Okay, I think I don't see any questions coming up. So thank you then. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for being very patient and calm. Uh, Thank you now, Dr. Neelkanth, for giving this opportunity. Just wait for a couple of minutes if anything comes up from any of you.
Yes, Astha.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't see any question. If there is any question, let me know, please.
Yes, please conclude.
Okay, I don't see.
I think a bit technical issues I'm facing. Still, I'm trying to. Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Raza. I think still I'm not uh, able to view the screen, although okay, it was a wonderful session as Mr. Raza is already working on some different products he has already worked with and currently dealing with regulatory affairs. Although he has put a wonderful example of Dettol Aqua, मुझे लगता है हम में से ऐसा यूज़ भी कर रहे होंगे उस डेटॉल एक्वा को और वो डेटॉल एक्वा प्रोडक्ट की पूरी डेवलपमेंट प्रोसेस में ही वाज इन्वॉल्व सिंस द स्टार्ट and there are examples he has put on as Dr. Sanjeev has told कि थॉट से लेकर पूरा मार्केट तक आने तक बहुत सारी प्रोसेस रहती हैं इन्वेस्टिगेशन री इन्वेस्टिगेशन बट फाइनली जब प्रोडक्ट आता है तो स्टिल वी नीड टू ऑब्जर्व दैट कि मार्केट में तो आ गया लेकिन क्या उसके अभी भी कुछ ऐसे consequences तो नहीं है which can harm the patients, harm the subjects, harm the people, either it's that's FMCG or some drug. So it was really a wonderful session, and I was waiting for Dr. Sanjeev so that he can also join for the valedictory session. He cannot be able to join right now, so it's time to conclude this one day workshop. Yes, आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
Yes.
नहीं
Yes.
ब्रेक हो रही है.
Yes, am I audible to everyone? Not be able to join right now. Yes, this one day.
Sir, you're not audible. Sir, you
Please proceed.
actually, sir is facing some technical difficulties. So we are moving forward. Okay. So, as we move forward, the end of this enlightening workshop, I invite Mrs. Deepika Gupta ma'am, Associate Professor, Maharshi School of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Managing Editor of JDDHS, Pharm'Up and Eduversity India. Ma'am is an Associate professor at Maharishi School of Pharmaceutical Sciences, MIUT, Lucknow. With over 8 years of teaching and research experience, she holds a BPharm and MPharm from UP Technical University and is currently pursuing a PhD in pharmaceutics, a published author with patents and books to her credit. She is also a life member of APTI. Ma'am, I request you to deliver the valedictory address and vote of thanks.
Thank you, Asta. May I audible?
Yes,
Am I
yes, ma'am.
audible?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone present here. On the behalf of organizing committee, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our chief guest, Professor Dr. Manju Pandey, ma'am, for gracing this occasion and sharing her valuable insight with us. I would like to sincerely thanks to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Sanjeev Yadav and Mr. Syed Mehdi Raza for delivering such informative and engaging sessions. A special vote of thanks to our convener, Dr. Neelkanth Pujari, for his dedicated guidance and tireless effort in organizing this national workshop. We are grateful to our supporting staff and technical team whose behind the scene work ensured the smooth execution for today's event. To all the participants, thank you for your active involvement and throughout the program. Before we conclude, I would like to extend a few important messages. We warmly invite to submit your article for the publication in Journal of Drug Delivery and Health Sciences. Stay connected with Pharm'Up for updates, academic discussion, and upcoming events. We encourage you to explore skill-based courses through Eduversity to enhance your professional development. To stay connected, upcoming session and future collaboration. Once again, thank you all for your presence and participation. At the end of this, thank you, Ms. Astha Pandey, for a final year student of AKTU for wonderful comparing this event. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for your thoughtful words. To all the participants, we hope this workshop gave you a valuable insights into the drug discovery and development process. Please take a moment to fill out the feedback form which is being shared in the chat. Your suggestions for future topics are most welcome. Keep watching Pharm'Up and stay tuned for upcoming events and educational content. With that, we conclude today's workshop. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. Stay safe, stay curious, and keep learning. Goodbye and Jai Hind.